Steve Harvey was getting a lot of network love during the time, and Bernie Mac not so much?
Yeah, and then Bernie started to get it. And Bernie started to get it. And then he could make his own decision. He could decide that this is what he wanted to do, and he made a different decision. Bernie, felt like he didn't want to do it anymore. He was on his own path, and Steve,
The night Bernie Mac discovered how dangerous Steve Harvey really is was never caught on camera, but the signs were there. They toured together, laughed together, stood side by side on stage. But behind the scenes, Bernie watched Steve take the spotlight, leverage connections, and smile through power plays that pushed Bernie out.
If you focus on being the best within yourself, all that stuff will come. Right. I hear people say, get your money on, get your money on. I hate that.
Years later, Bernie admitted it. Steve tried to block his roles, cut him out of opportunities, and smiled like nothing happened. Then Bernie was gone. And Steve's reaction? Cold, detached, followed by years of silence until Diddy entered the picture. Lori Harvey was linked to both Diddy and his son, Justin Combs.
I've heard I've dated a father and son before.
The rumors were impossible to ignore. And Steve? He said nothing. Now, Diddy is on trial for ST-ficking and assault.
We now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs.
People are going back to that silence and wondering if Bernie Mac saw the whole game before anyone else did. Bernie Mac never had it easy. Born Bernard Jeffrey McCullough on October 5, 1957, in Chicago's South Side, he grew up in a tough neighborhood with his single mom, Mary, doing her best to raise him and his siblings.
There was a lot of people in this house. At one point, there might have been 10 people in a two-bedroom apartment. That's a lot of people.
Even as a kid, Bernie knew how to make people laugh. His first show happened when he was just 8 years old at a church dinner. He stood up and did hilarious impressions of his grandparents, including his grandfather, who was a deacon at their Baptist church. The crowd ate it up, and Bernie got his first taste of making people happy through comedy.
My grandfather was a deacon of the church. He was go to work, pray.
But life hit Bernie hard. At just 16, he lost his mom to cancer, a blow that would crush any teenager. Then, like dominoes falling, he lost his older brother, his estranged father, and his grandmother, all within a short time. The kid who made everyone laugh was suddenly surrounded by grief. "I came from a place where there wasn't a lot of joy," Mac said, according to 19 News. "I decided to try to make other people laugh when there wasn't a lot of things to laugh about." Watching his mother battle breast cancer left deep scars on young Bernie. In a raw interview with Howard Stern years later, Bernie shared a memory that haunted him. He came home one day, pumped up after hitting a home run in baseball, only to walk in on his mother partially undressed. That's when he saw it, a massive scar across her chest from a mastectomy. In that moment, the happy-go-lucky kid realized his mom was fighting for her life. His mother tried shielding him from the harsh reality. "Close the door and don't ask questions," she told him. Confused and scared, Bernie went to his grandmother for answers, but she just sent him back to his mom. The truth remained unspoken, leaving young Bernie terrified and alone. Before she died, Bernie's mom wrote a 10-page letter to his aunt with instructions on how to take care of her son. In those pages, she predicted Bernie would find the strength to survive without her. A mother who knew her son's resilience even when he couldn't see it himself.
I tell you why Andy Griffith is my favorite, because he was so secure. I love security.
Bernie Mac didn't just survive. He pushed forward, carrying grief and jokes in the same breath. And when the spotlight finally found him, it was raw, loud, unapologetic. Def Comedy Jam wasn't just a platform. It was the moment the world saw the pain behind Bernie's punchlines. You see, before becoming famous in Hollywood, Bernie Mac faced a tough journey filled with hard work and sacrifices. He was a family man who did everything he could to support his loved ones while chasing his dream of making people laugh. Bernie took on all kinds of odd jobs to make ends meet, from cleaning as a janitor to cooking and even moving furniture. All of this helped him survive financially while he worked toward his ultimate goal of becoming a successful comedian. Little did he know, his journey to success would come with a lot of challenges. In 1992, Bernie Mac's career took a major turn when he appeared on HBO's Def Comedy Jam. This popular show helped him reach a bigger audience, finally putting him in the spotlight. After his success on Def Comedy Jam, Bernie Mac started getting small roles in movies like Mo Money in 1992 and Friday in 1995. These roles helped him learn more about acting, though he was still waiting for his big break in Hollywood. Eventually, he got the chance to host his own HBO show, Midnight Mac, where his style and humor really shined. Later, he joined famous comedians like Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hewley in Spike Lee's film The Original Kings of Comedy.
In for a treat. I got this lovely young lady coming up. She's no bigger than a minute, but got $1 million voice. You're gonna be entertained tonight. She's from Memphis, Tennessee, but she lives here. Please give a warm applause for one of my favorite Melvia Chick Rogers.
This project showed the world Bernie Mac's one-of-a-kind humor and cemented his place in the world of comedy. But while the world was laughing, something darker was building behind the curtain, because not all kings wear the same crown. And for Bernie Mac, the real fight wasn't just Hollywood. It was Steve Harvey. If you were around in the early 2000s, you probably remember the Original Kings of Comedy tour. This comedy tour was legendary. 4 comedians, Steve Harvey, D.L. Hewley, Cedric the Entertainer, and Bernie Mac, hit the road, making people laugh all over America. In a 2018 interview with Vlad TV, comedian D.L. Hewley opened up about the drama that stopped the second Kings of Comedy tour from happening. Fans were hoping for a sequel to the popular comedy tour, but things didn't go as planned.
Because the word mother, it describes a person, place, or thing.
Hewley revealed that a big reason for the cancellation was a feud between 2 of the stars, Bernie Mac and Steve Harvey. According to Hewley, they didn't see eye to eye, and that tension got in the way of working together.
I remember I was at the golf course, and we were getting ready to put it together, and everybody was all excited. And
Hewley remembered being on a golf course where they talked about bringing the tour back, but just a day later, it all fell apart. Bernie's decision to walk away put an end to their plans. Hewley said that part of the problem was that the networks were giving Steve Harvey a lot more attention than Bernie Mac. Steve Harvey was getting more TV opportunities, which may have caused some tension. Later, Bernie started getting more recognition for his talent. Once he was getting the respect he deserved, he decided to go his own way.
you remember how the Lakers had Chris Paul for a second, and then the next day they did? That's how it was. Like, we was together, we were all excited, and the next day it didn't happen.
Each comedian had his own style. Steve Harvey, known as the smooth talker, liked to pick on audience members in the front row, often joking about their clothes, hair, or jobs. This playful roasting made him stand out and kept the crowd laughing. Bernie Mac had a very different style, though. His comedy was harder and often got into some of the tough realities of life. Rumors say Steve Harvey may have felt a bit jealous of Bernie Mac's style. This little tension is said to have sparked a rivalry between the two. Meanwhile, Cedric the Entertainer seems to have confirmed Hewley's claims. I mean, they were the kind of guys that they are both alpha males. Like they just saw it different. You know what I'm saying? Cedric admitted on Shannon Sharp's sensational podcast, Club Shay Shay. His words cast a shadow on Mac's potential, implying that his clash with Harvey might have hindered his trajectory had he been alive today. Cedric further suggested that the feud's aftermath prevented another lucrative tour from materializing. I think, of course, that was, definitely a contributing circumstance, but I also think that it had a lot to do with the promoter on the thing, because he got a bigger head than all of us. he divulged. The insinuation that personal egos and backstage politics tainted the camaraderie adds an intriguing layer to this tale of Hollywood's power dynamics. Another person who confirmed that Bernie and Steve weren't on good terms is Ed Lover. The legendary DJ dropped an episode of his Come On Son podcast, where he backed up Williams' story that the comedian shared on the latest episode of the Club Shay Shay podcast.
Well, that's what all I can say is what Bernie told me. Mm-hmm. And he was upset with Steve because he said Steve tried to get him taken off for the Oceans movie he did.
Oceans 11?
Yeah, and tried to vie for his part after he already got hired.
After explaining that he'd been a friend of Bernie Mac's until the day he died, Ed Lover continued, the stuff that Cat Williams said about Steve Harvey calling to try to get Bernie's role on Ocean's 11, livin', and that kind of stuff, Bernie told me out of his own mouth. I believe Bernie Mac when he said Steve Harvey hated on him, he concluded. But the story doesn't end there. In a 2003 interview with GQ magazine, Mac didn't mince his words, accusing Harvey of harboring jealousy and actively undermining his pursuit of coveted movie roles. Harvey would later respond in a 2010 interview, revealing his hurt over Mac's accusations. I was upset at first because it just wasn't true. Me and Bernie had a lot of good times together, and then this article in GQ came out and put all this vicious stuff in there. B said he never said, I had to take him at his word for it, Harvey confessed. What started as competition turned into resentment, and long after Bernie's death, Steve's name kept popping up, next to Diddy, next to rumors, next to silence, and that's when people started connecting the dots. In the summer of 2019, paparazzi captured a moment that set the internet on fire. Dawn Diddy Combs, then 49, walking closely beside Lori Harvey, who had just turned 22. Their matching outfits, their intimate body language, the way they moved in sync, like a couple. It didn't look like a business meeting, a friendly stroll, or a coincidence. It looked romantic, suspiciously so.
What you think?
It's love.
Yeah.
It's that head over heels love. I'm willing to be corny for you kind of love.
But the story didn't stop there. Shortly after, more photos emerged, this time of a luxurious family vacation in Italy. At the dinner table, Diddy, Lori, Marjorie Harvey, and Steve Harvey, seated across from the music mogul, smiling calmly like it was just another family outing. To fans and critics alike, the visual message was clear. If Lori and Diddy were truly together, Steve was either fine with it or pretending to be. And that was the moment people stopped looking at Steve Harvey the same way. The age gap was glaring. Lori had grown up under Diddy's shadow. He had known her for years, reportedly as a family friend, long before she was of legal age. But what truly pushed this relationship into unsettling territory was the rumor that she had previously dated Diddy's son, Justin Combs. Whether the timeline overlapped or not, the optics were inescapable. Lori was allegedly passed from son to father. And Steve? He stood next to it all, grinning for the cameras. Social media was ruthless. Memes exploded. Rumors spread like wildfire. Nick Cannon said what many were thinking, stating bluntly in an interview,
to each his own, but I would feel like I failed as a father.
I think most
if I'm
fathers,
sitting across from the table with a dude the same age as me that's dating my daughter,
yeah,
I would feel like I failed.
And yet, Steve remained silent. No statements, no clarifications, no pushback. People were confused. How could the same man who wrote Act Like a Lady think like a man? A book built on principles of male protection, responsibility, and respect. Allow something like this to happen under his roof?
I'm gonna talk to you like you my daughter. Slow down. You got to find out what these boys are made out of, and you ain't gonna find it out at 19.
His silence became deafening. And for many fans, that silence was worse than a statement. It felt like permission, or worse, participation. Then came the unfollow. By October 2019, Lori had unfollowed Diddy on Instagram. Their public appearances vanished. Their matching outfits were replaced by distance. People speculated that something serious must have happened. The breakup wasn't messy. It was sudden. almost like an erasure. No public fight, no interviews, no shade, just gone. But those who had been watching closely knew something had shifted. Lori wasn't just cutting ties with a man. She was cutting ties with a narrative. And what was that narrative? A young black woman, barely out of her teens, gets involved with a billionaire twice her age, after allegedly dating his son, while her celebrity stepfather says nothing, despite standing on a career built around respectability and parental guidance. For the public, it wasn't just strange, it was betrayal. Because if Steve Harvey couldn't protect his own daughter from that kind of situation, then what did all his books, speeches, and sermons even mean? That's when people started asking questions they never asked before. Not just about Lori, not just about Diddy, but about Steve. What kind of man allows something like that? And why didn't he say a word? This wasn't just a Hollywood friendship anymore. It was personal, public, and for Lori Harvey, painfully close. Because Diddy wasn't just a mogul with power. He was a man with secrets. And Steve, he was standing right next to him. As the rumors about Lori and Diddy continued to dominate blogs, a darker conversation started bubbling beneath the surface. One not about tabloids or dating gossip, but about responsibility, power, and silence. Because if Diddy was just another celebrity boyfriend, this would have blown over. But Sean Combs was not just another celebrity. He was a man with a long, and now increasingly exposed, history of control, secrecy, and alleged abuse. When Lori was seen at Ciroc events, stepping into the luxury world Diddy created, fans noticed something odd. She wasn't just being glamorized, she was being branded. Diddy didn't just bring women into his life, he wrapped them in his empire. And Lori, at the time, was the crown jewel of his roster. Young, beautiful, connected, and silent. She never gave interviews, never confirmed anything, and yet she was always present.